Hello, we're straight into the weekly roundup this week. You will have seen, if you're a diehard boxing fan, there was not a lot of boxing on last weekend. Hence why this show might be a little shorter. The quality, there was one good knockout from last week, and I was going to make a clip for it, but the quality wasn't very good. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to leave it for this week. We've got a couple of events coming up this weekend. Hopefully, it'll give us a little bit more to work with. But at the very least, we've got a matchroom card, so we've got good quality. So we just need one knockout, and then we've got something. But yeah, so we're going to go straight into weekly roundup this week. Weekly roundup. There's quite a lot to talk about. A lot of little things. The big one's Zuffa Boxing. Let's go straight in. Dana White. Dana, sort of off camera, have said that you don't think it's going to work.
100%. Recently, they've held talks with Opetaia to sign to Zuffa Boxing, or I'm hearing it's done, or almost done.
Yeah, I think it's done. Yeah.
However, the guy that runs Zuffa Boxing with Dana White, or who's like the spokesperson, has said that they will allow Opetaia to fight in unification bouts for those respective titles, but outside of that, he will compete in Zuffa Boxing. It doesn't really work because Opetaia is currently not ranked with the WBC in terms of the cruiserweights. Okay, yeah. No. So for him to fight for a WBC title, he'd either have to fight a mandatory. I wouldn't imagine he'd have to fight anyone, not a lot of people, but he'd have to fight a mandatory potentially before he can get that fight. And I'm saying that you already just proved that it's not going to work because you're going to have to allow him to fight people from the rankings.
Yeah.
Especially now he's joined this governing body. I mean, the Ring will be on board of it, so they'll keep his ranking. But I'm not quite sure how the IBF... he's going to have to defend his titles as well to keep them. So if he's not defending his titles, he's going to lose his titles. Now, I saw a comment on Instagram and someone said, and I'll read it out because... Do you know what it is, Connor? Some people just don't listen. So, I have to read it out. I basically saying what I'm saying now, and they've clearly stated they're not using the UFC type format to build. Well, they are. They've got their own type belts. They're not recognizing the bodies. So, Sazin, you are wrong. They've clearly stated they are not using the UFC type format to build. This sounds like the UFC type format. Now, I'm all here. I have a problem with that. The problem you've got is it doesn't work in boxing. It works in MMA because UFC is the biggest promotion out of Bellator's, all these companies. UFC is the biggest. But they're all separate promotions running their separate shows with their separate belts, with their separate rankings. With boxing, you've got the governing bodies and their rankings, and the fighters don't necessarily need to be signed to WBC to fight for a WBC title. They've simply got to fight maybe fighters from that rankings to get in to fight.
Yeah.
But then they can also go and fight for an undisputed. They can be IBF like you see with the undisputed champions we've got. It's just boxing's run differently, and the promoters have their fighters, and different fighters have different promoters, and it's just run very differently. Like I'm interested to see how Zuffa Boxing does. Do I think this is the correct move for Opetaia in getting a unification bout? No. If I am looking at that as the governing body or governing bodies that he hasn't got titles with, I might just not rank him because you're not fighting people within the rankings. If Dana, which in the clip that I saw, stated clearly that they will allow him to fight in unification fights, you don't just get given them on a plate. I think what I'm realizing with Opetaia is he's a great talent. He's not promoted properly.
That's true.
I think that's a big part of it. Also, these fights in Australia against nothing short of opponents that he's 20 times better than has done, I don't feel like, any justice for him. The fights he's been in haven't looked massively competitive in Australia. They look very one-sided in terms of who's going to win. The fights are created for Opetaia to keep active. We know he had
Yeah.
Go on.
It's to sell tickets in Australia, isn't it? It's so that he breaks someone's jaw in Australia, and he's done that about 3 times in a row now. David Onyeka was a good fight, in fairness, on paper. Onyeka's the young coming up cruiserweight. Other than that, what is it, Sinkra, and the other guy who's honestly, his name I can't remember because these aren't world level fighters. They've been brought to Australia because they're unbeaten, so it sells. But ultimately, they're not the level. The UFC model, the only thing I think I disagree, I think the UFC model would work in boxing. But it doesn't work by dragging the champions that we've got now and just pushing them into these new rankings, because you're going to have too many questions. You're better off, I think, personally, getting loads of prospects and just pushing them into this model and saying that this is the future. Look at the UFC. Yep. That's what we're aiming for. Boxing, you wouldn't struggle to tell a boxer that boxing's bigger than... Well, boxing is. I think boxing is bigger than the UFC.
No, it is. But it's a
big boxing fight is bigger.
Model.
So I think you just have to sell the idea, and in about 5 years' time, you'll have a real ranking system, and that's where people will get on board with it, because you have got the most competitive, or you could have. Currently, I agree. I don't think taking Opetaia and saying we'll let you do the unification fights. Well, realistically, am I going to watch Opetaia in any of the Zuffa Boxing fights then? No, not really. I don't really care, because if he's not fighting Zurdo, Benavidez, Billum Smith, even, I know Billum Smith's not got a title, but if he's not fighting the higher level caliber, especially in the cruiserweights, then he's not really fighting anyone. So that to me means Zuffa Boxing are then therefore getting someone that's just not it's just the same fights we're currently getting with Opetaia, which, well, 2 or 3 years ago we would have said Opetaia is going to be the next, not the next Usyk, but it looked like he was going to go and just unify and get undisputed quite easily. And then, Zurdo came into the division. Now Benavidez is in there. You got there's a good mix of fighters coming up as well. But he's not really done anything. He's I hate to say it, but he's beaten an Ellis Zorro that was unfortunate with circumstance, a Jordan Thompson that was, well, again, was nowhere near the level. He's beat Sinker, nowhere near the level. He's beat David Onyeka, who's a prospect, who, now in fairness with that fight, like I said before, David Onyeka could have been at that level, and that was just a finding out moment, and we found out he wasn't. But Opetaia's resume, the older he gets, is just looking worse and worse. Zurdo, at the very least, is adding the names.
In all, I mean, when you look at the records on paper of the guys that he should be fighting, and I do go back to it just because I've spoke to this person personally about that fight. But when I do go back to, Ellis's fight with Opetaia, he stepped up to fight, coming off the back of smaller hall shows, to fight in Saudi against Opetaia. Massive achievement for him. And I know people might look at it like he got knocked out after a round. And maybe some people on paper expected Opetaia to win. But then obviously he's gone on since to prove that he's probably, like a lot of these fighters have, I think, positively gained off the back, even though like Ellis Zorro would have lost. And I'm not going off track here, but I'm just making a point because it needs to be made that, you look at Ellis's last 2 fights, he was cheated out of them massively. I think even the one recently on Eddie Hearn's platform, very close fight. Decision went his way against a Matchroom boy. Again, fights on the Queensbury show against a Queensbury Golden Boy. It's just unfortunate with the run that he's had, to be honest with you. But I do agree that obviously on paper, if you look at it at the time, and this is me speaking from a professional opinion, those fights that he had earlier on against Ellis's, and then obviously afterwards, a lot of people may have perceived that as not at Ellis's, at Opetaia's level yet, or where we think we see Opetaia. But then I'd also make the point that are we overhyping his level because of the fights that he's had to what we expect, where we expect him to be?
But he's a world champion.
Does he? Because
can you overhype a world champion?
No,
you overhype the level.
But does he beat Benavidez?
No, but this is where I don't know if he beats Benavidez. I think that's a 50-50. I actually would favour Benavidez.
I think.
Got to be honest with you.
When we watched the fight that I watched when Opetaia fought at a world level was cruiserweight fight for one of the cruiserweight titles. Was it the IBF that he won?
Breeders.
IBF. Yeah, Breeders. He looked
his win over Breeders. Yeah,
Breeders made him look human though. I watched that fight, and it was a good win. It was obviously good for Opetaia to win, but he didn't comfortably win that fight.
No, it was a split decision. It was a struggle, a real struggle. And Breeders is a weird one because Breeders, in one breath, has actually made Usyk struggle at cruiserweight. Usyk beat him comfortably, but there were rounds there for Usyk that he had to think. Not everyone's going to do that against Usyk. So Breeders was, in one way, that's a brilliant win. In another breath, it's an old Breeders that took him 12 rounds.
Yeah.
And then they fought again, and Opetaia did the job again. It was a little controversial, that first fight. A lot of people actually got Breeders won. I don't. I think Opetaia won it. But for me, since then, and I do mean this in a respectful way, I think it's gone downhill. I think the level of quality. I think he's fought a Jordan Thompson that was nowhere near ready, and Ellis Soro that
he took that fight on short notice. Ellis,
exactly. Well. This is what I'm saying. Ellis was and you're not going to say no. It's Saudi. It's a world title. Absolutely, you can't blame Ellis for it. But in terms of from an Opetaia point of view, Ellis Soro was European level and building on that. Which is why it's a little bit of a shame how, like you say about the decisions that haven't gone his way, especially when you think they probably should have, how Ellis's career, I mean, he's still got a lot of time left, and hopefully it will keep picking up. But it's a bit of a shame. But in terms of, from Opetaia's point of view, Ellis Soro, a short-noticed Ellis Soro is not a Breeders, that's not a Breeders level. Sinker is not. David Nyeka's a prospect, really. So we're getting to the point with him where it's like, what have you done? And I mean this in a really respectful way, as much as it can be. What have you done? Because you beat Breeders back in 2020. You beat him again second time. All right, that's an old Breeder. That Breeders was calling out Jake Paul with every single breath he could. So I don't care about that fight. But if you look at what the competition have done, Billum Smith had a fight of the year against Zerdo, a brilliant fight. And Zerdo won it, fair enough. Zerdo is now fighting Benavidez. Benavidez, who was gunning for Canelo, didn't get it, who's then just gone and beat up Anthony Yard, who, all right, Anthony Yard's level is debatable, obviously. It's really difficult to tell. I could see him winning a world title. I could equally see him never really getting any closer than he's got. But Anthony Yard's a weird one like that. But the point stands. Benavidez is now in the division, and Zerdo has got to fight with him immediately.
Commercially, it makes more sense. And we go back to that point of saying, what has Opetaia really done? And I am starting to ask that question now. There's a lot of talent there, but it's not really matching. Or people are telling us he's this good, but the fights that he's taking are not making sense now, especially with, for me, the ones recently he's taken in Australia. And I know there was a side of it to bring shows back to Australia because they're building something there.
Of course,
But when we look at the crux of it, like, what is he doing there? And then supposedly that was his last fight. Doesn't really look like he's leaving Eddie Hearn, or he must be leaving Eddie Hearn, which I think is a stupid decision, by the way. I just think Eddie Hearn might have had a conversation with him and said, if you want, like, an honest conversation, and probably said to him, if you want to go down the route of this and this, these are kinds of some of the tougher fights you want to take. Opetaia is by far no means scared of anyone to fight. I don't believe that with anyone who gets in the ring. to be honest with you, because I think it takes a certain amount, especially someone of Opetaia's stature and just aura. He gives off a lot of aura. But I do think commercially, he doesn't do massive numbers, and he's not going to do massive numbers in America, to be brutally honest with you. So Cinco de Mayo in Mexico, is it Mexico? Yeah. So that is going to be the biggest sporting event at the time. Benavidez v. Do you see what I mean, Zerdo? That's going to be a massive event. Commercially, Opetaia couldn't even tie the shoelaces of that event, and that's no disrespect to him. But I questioned that event before because I also think Zerdo does a little bit of running as well. But the cruiserweight division's a bit weird. I'll be brutally honest with you.
It's very weird. Very weird.
But Zerdo does a bit of running, but he's got a money fight. What happens after this? I mean, to be brutally honest with you, I can't see Benavidez losing this fight. I just saw something in him. I've not seen somebody do what he done to Yard the way he done it to Yard.
Yeah, it was
brutal. And Yard's been in there with Beterbiev. He's been in there with slipping up.
Kovalev.
And they won them fights and they broke him down. But like Benavidez broke Anthony Yard, and Anthony Yard in this country, if he fights any of the British light heavyweights now, I'll probably say he wins a lot of the fights.
Only Callum Smith. I think Callum Smith.
Yeah. I say a lot
of. But he's
Lindenhoff, all these guys, Dan Aziz, Ben Whittaker. Like I think he beats all these guys, but time will tell with Ben Whittaker. It's a weird division. Going back to the point of Opetaia signing for Zuffa Boxing, it seems like a weird sidestep. I know they've had talks with Usyk as well. Don't really know. I think Usyk, if he does fight on Zuffa Boxing, it will be from a place of, well, I've completed everything in boxing, so I'll just go and win the belts on that promotion. I think that's probably the way he's looking at it.
I think, also Zuffa in America. Usyk's yet to, although he kind of has conquered America because Americans know him. Everyone knows him. But Usyk it is every boxer's dream to sell out a Vegas arena, to do Madison Square Garden. Everyone wants to do an American fight. So Usyk maybe wants to do that. We've heard about him versus Wilder being talked about for a long time. And the WBC recently, only 5 or 6 days ago, said they were okay with it. And then sort of out of nowhere, we've had Wilder versus Chisora looking to be finalised for an 0-2 fight in April, which I like that fight. Chisora's last fight, hopefully 50th against Deontay Wilder.
They're doing there, though. I see what they're doing there. There's a little pathway that I think Dana White will be looking at with this and going, if Wilder beats Chisora, Wilder's back, because another loss to Wilder, it's not looking good. Like if they do sign Usyk, hear me out, Con. If they do sign Usyk for whatever deal they agree, with Turkey's help, to fight in America, if Wilder beats Chisora, that fight with Usyk is a little bit bigger. People start to have this thing, has Wilder got something back? Because he got a little bit of something back. And then from Usyk's point of view, like we said, and like you said in the reel we posted up the other day, he wants to fight everyone of his generation. It doesn't matter if they're past it or not, to the extent Usyk and Wilder are probably at 3-4 years between each other in age. I think Wilder's 41. So
41, I think,
So my thing is, like, I think if he's Usyk, he just wants to beat all of the big current names from his era, which is the Joshua's, Tyson's, etc. Wilder does go in there because he was WBC champion for a long time, regardless of belt or no belt. So I think Usyk, Dana White, Turkey will be watching that fight and going, now this makes sense commercially. this could make Wilder and Usyk in America a lot bigger.
Yeah.
I don't think I wouldn't even give Wilder 0.5% chance in that fight. But I understand why the fight is happening. And I'm yet to see Wilder box, and I'm not going to see it at 41. So I don't know what people expect when he fights Usyk. Usyk will just jab his head off and just out-punch him.
Usyk will likely finish him.
Other than power, which we know Wilder is probably one of the most powerful punchers the heavyweight division's seen for a couple of years, long time. Probably supposedly since Mike Tyson, from what people are saying, or what the scientific tests they've done. But other than that, there's not. Name me one thing that Wilder's better at than Usyk.
I don't know.
No, but that's what I'm saying to you. Maybe in boxing, nothing. And I say the same thing for which is mad, is why this Chisora fight's risky. Is he a better boxer than Chisora? No.
Yeah.
Is Wilder better?
I think Chisora will beat him. I think Chisora will beat Wilder.
Wilder's
not got that spite anymore. And Chisora, it's his 50th fight. He'll put everything into it. He always does, but he'll definitely put, especially if that is his last one. He's been sort of holding out for a world title fight, Chisora, but it's not going to happen. I don't think so, at least. If he beats Wilder, then maybe something in him will go, oh, do you know what? I'm right up there. Why not? But hopefully he just stops. But I can't blame him. If he beats Wilder, I think he will beat Wilder. I don't think Wilder's a hard fight for him, I'll be honest. I think the aggressiveness of what Chisora suits. Well, no, sorry. It worked well against the almost, I don't want to say scared isn't the right word, but there's a fear in Wilder to actually let that right hand go still. So I think Chisora will just maul him. But I like the fight. I will watch that fight.
100%. I think curiosity is going to make me watch it more than anything, to be honest with you. I like the fight. I think it's a good fight for Chisora. Great win if he can get it. Do you know what I mean? Off of the back of his 50th fight. But also a good win for Wilder if he wins, because
he puts Wilder right back up there.
Not right back up there, but
if Wilder fights Chisora, beats Chisora, I've got no issue with him fighting Usyk. I don't really have an issue with it now.
I don't have an issue now because I just want to see Usyk beat him. But it adds more value to it if he beats Chisora, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, true. I mean, that's that. Crazy enough, that's the only fight that's really being spoke about. Canelo is returning September 12th. I do want to speak about that. But Crawford is retired. I know they're still talking. Could Canelo fight Crawford in September, rematch? I don't think so. I think Terence Crawford is done. I think he has made his money and then some. So I think it's Canelo versus something else.
I think
who that is, I'm not sure.
I would like to see Canelo v. Hamza Shiraz. I think that's a big fight.
I think Hamza beats him.
It's still a big fight.
Yeah, true.
Two ways you can look at this. That's Britain's uprising or big star in terms of what he's doing. If Canelo beats him, do you see where I'm coming from? It's like, how much has he got left? But then if he loses, Hamza Shiraz has beaten one of the best fighters across generations we've seen for one of the best.
Yeah, Hamza Shiraz puts himself in with Bivol, Crawford, and Mayweather. You know, that is ridiculous. But I think Canelo is slow.
I would like to see Bivol and Canelo at 168.
I've got no interest in it. I'll watch it if they put it on, but I know who wins that fight. And I know who wins it comfortably as well. Canelo, for me, it's gonna be rude. But I think he's a thing of the past. He's done. I'm not. I think he'll probably go and win more world titles at 168. Because realistically, 168 isn't like Hamza Shiraz isn't going to clean the division quick enough for Canelo not to pick up a title again.
Yeah, but the thing is, we compare Crawford to Mayweather in terms of the ability and what he does. Mayweather, whether people like it or not, has a debate for one of the greatest boxers of all time. Whether people like it or not, wherever you put him, like everything speaks for itself in his achievements, what he's done to the age he's done it as well. Joe, people are saying Crawford is on that level or near that level, and I hear it, or on the same level, or in terms of ability. Him beating Canelo, prior to Canelo fighting Crawford, he was beating these upcoming guys.
But can we talk about that? Because you are right. Of course, you are right. He was beating them. But let's have a look at the upcoming guys. And I want you to tell me if they're actually if they're real elite operators, or are they just quite well promoted? Because for me, Canelo's last good performance was Caleb Plant. And I don't think since then we've seen the same thing. Since his surgery on his hand, which he's had now twice, and his arm and elbow, I don't think we've seen a good Canelo. Canelo against who's the bloke that just danced around the whole time? William Skull. I thought was a poor performance.
That was a terrible fight.
And William Skull, in fairness, I think is to blame for that. But
I think William Skull did it. Yeah, but William Skull
just
wasn't good enough. But it just wasn't good enough to fight him either.
No, but William Skull had the game plan of I'm quicker than you, so I'm going to do what Bivol does, and I'm going to dance around you and not let you press me, and that makes sense. But then William Skull never engaged. So
William Skull's not Bivol. That's what you forgot.
But the fact is, Canelo couldn't actually close the ring down on him. So Canelo won the rounds because he was the only one engaging, but it wasn't a good fight. I don't think Edgar Belanga's all that. I've got to be honest.
But I think you could give it to Canelo that he beat him when he was.
He beat him, but he didn't. I'm not. Again, I'm not fussed by that as a win. I think yes, he won. Well done. But like Edgar Berlanga, for me, when fighting Canelo, was still a prospect. Jaime Munguia, 40 odd fights. But again, Canelo had him hurt, couldn't finish the job, couldn't really catch him. Like, I don't doubt Canelo's still better than most fighters, but I don't think there's any point in him fighting anymore.
No.
Other than he's going to make a load of money and he's going to carry on. But
I agree with that. I reckon he should cash out, but I do think he should just go and do what Anthony Joshua done. I'll be honest with you. But I mean, Anthony Joshua, obviously we don't know what's going on with him, but Anthony Joshua's got the ability to fight again. There's a difference. But he should go and do what Anthony Joshua's done. And just go and fight YouTuber for like 50, 60 million.
I'd like to see Canelo with a new trainer, personally.
I would like to watch. We had Christmas last year. I want Christmas again. I want to see Canelo fight Jake Paul.
Do you know why? Honestly, why not? I mean, I'm not. I don't love that fight because Jake Paul would weigh a lot more than him.
If I'm Canelo and I'm sitting there and I'm going, realistically, what I've done across boxing, most fighters would dream of doing. Yeah?
Yeah.
Would dream of doing it. I've achieved everything. I lost against one of the best fighters, if not the best, of this generation. An argument that people are having is who would win, Floyd or Terence? That's the level Terence Crawford's on.
Oh, yeah.
I lost against... There's elite and then there's God fighters.
And then you've got Bivol, who has put himself right up there as one of, if not the best light heavyweight ever.
His two losses come against two elite level God mode fighters. Like, you know, when you play a game and it's extra hard difficulty, and then you've got God mode.
Yeah,
that's what they're on.
That's what they
And he's lost again. There, his losses of recent. And then, can you really knock him? And then if he does decide to go and do an exhibition fight, he's just ticking boxes off now. But if I am Canelo, I've achieved everything. So for me, I'll just do what I want. I might go and take up golf if I'm Canelo. Just try and be good at golf.
This is what I'm saying. I think he's got all the money in the world. And again, in the same way, it's the time it will take Hamza Shiraz to unify and undisputed in this division, which is very impressive, right? Hamza's got to pick up his world title still. He still needs to win a world title. But the 168 world champions, I know I can't name them. I know they've been given out the belts. They've been spread since Crawford retired. But genuinely, I can't name the world champions because they're guys that have got there, rightfully, through the rankings, and then they've just gone, oh, shit, okay, we've got to give it to the number one guy who's not that good. Who's just not all that. And then the ones that haven't been given out are because they want to do it where they get a proper sanctioning fee, like the WBA and the WBC will hold out to do. So I'm not interested in the 168 division with Canelo in it anymore. Canelo, Hamza Shiraz does interest me, but what interests me more is Hamza Shiraz versus Chris Eubank Jr. if he is still able to fight.
Yeah.
An all-British fight for a world title where you got the young Hamza Shiraz, who is excellent, versus a Chris Eubank Jr. who, at a higher weight, will have no excuse for weight issues, or should have no excuse for weight issues. To be honest with you, imagine that there will still be excuses, but yeah, I don't know. Canelo is someone that I admire, and I do have a lot of respect for, and he is one of those fighters I've grown up watching, and I'm never going to forget him. But there is a point where you have to go, I'm not asked about you anymore. Like, I have so much more interest, and it's not because I'm British, because generally I don't really care. I have more interest in Hamza Shiraz and what he'll do in 168.
Yeah. Than
I do about... I'm not going to use the term washed up because I still think he could pick up world titles, but an old Canelo.
I think, I agree with you there. I mean, if he walks away from the sport now, he was comfortably beaten by Terence Crawford. I don't care how you look at it. Yeah. But really and truly, what the guy's achieved over decades or generations, he's crazy. So there's nothing left for Canelo to achieve in boxing. He's done everything.
Yeah. Exactly.
So at the end of the day, if he calls it a day now, you can only respect Canelo just for the elite fighter that he is. Maybe he tarnishes his record carrying on fighting, which could put him into dispute a little bit. You carry on for too long, and you end up like Mike Tyson.
Yeah, people question just how great you are, and I think we're already losses to Bivol, Mayweather, and Crawford do not. If those are your three losses in your career, I'd say you've had a good career.
Yeah.
I like I said, I don't care, and I do see him losing again. I think William Skull could have beat him, but Skull didn't engage. I think the other younger fighters are just not intelligent enough. Hamza Shiraz is. I think Hamza Shiraz beats him comfortably. But like I say, Canelo's back September 12th. He's recovering from another surgery. I mean, how many surgeries is he going to have before he just decides, you know what, my hands have retired already, so maybe the rest of me should, but I don't know. Other interesting news is Verge Ortiz Jr., like many fighters, has had issues with Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy and is filing a lawsuit to terminate his promotional contract with them. It's the same thing has happened with Ryan Garcia. We all know about Canelo and De La Hoya having issues. Still don't really know exactly what happened there, but they had issues. It feels like almost every 2 or 3 months a fighter is suing Golden Boy and trying to get out of their contract. I think Oscar needs to start putting his signature on the line instead of snorting it is probably the best way of putting that. But
that is hilarious. That is hilarious. I will like to bring one more thing up, just leading on from that mental comment. But I hear it though. And wearing questionable outfits in pictures.
Mate, it snows in Mexico and De La Hoya's there.
And what the pictures of him wearing
is mental. God,
Just go and have a look. Big pause. Boxing broadcaster viewership. These are really interesting figures. So YouTube, Netflix, Prime, and DAZN. Can you guess which one was the highest?
Is it for one event or for what, 1 year? Or?
Boxers broadcaster viewership for this year, I believe.
Okay.
Or last year, sorry, I think.
And it was what? YouTube, Netflix, and what was the other one, sorry? Prime.
Prime and DAZN.
Right.
And I think
I'd hope it's DAZN. I'd hope it's DAZN. But I don't think I think it'll be Netflix. Netflix had
Give me your 4. Like how if you put them in order.
It should be. DAZN should be top. The amount of events they got.
And these are based on subscribers, by the way.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go Netflix top. I'll go. Oh God, YouTube might surprise me here, but I'll go DAZN, Amazon, YouTube.
So you went DAZN, Amazon, YouTube.
So Netflix top. Netflix were top. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you had what second?
DAZN,
and then Amazon,
and then YouTube bottom. But I feel like YouTube might surprise me. I might have got this completely.
So I'll go from bottom to top.
Okay.
Pause. DAZN actually is 4th because subscriber count undisclosed.
Okay.
So we don't actually know, or we don't have the figures. Now, I'm actually trying to work out. It's very unclear because I've just seen this come up as we was talking, and I thought I'd bring it up. But I think this is just counting the monthly users for boxing broadcasters viewership. Maybe collated over a couple of years. I don't know. But as of recent, and then Prime was second to last with 250 million paid subscribers per month.
Okay.
Netflix had 302 million paid subscribers per month.
Right. Okay. So yeah, YouTube is going to be okay.
But can you guess the number that YouTube had?
I mean, it's going to be billions. I'll go 5 billion.
2.7 billion monthly users.
Okay.
And only 350 of you are subscribed to our channel. So what I will say to you,
I love that.
Share and subscribe.
That was, you know what? I didn't even see that coming. That was brilliant. Interestingly, that you mentioned that. I'm just going to make sure. One thing we didn't mention, Zuffa Boxing's first official event is this weekend, headlined by Callum Walsh. It's not a great event, but we'll keep tabs on it. Fighting Carlos Ocampo, who,
if it's anything like the last one we watched, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're not watching the event because I'm not getting Paramount for one. I might do in the future, but not yet until they've proven that it's a good event. And the last UFC thing we watched, Dana White boxing.
Go and watch it. It's on our YouTube. Terrible. I might have fallen asleep during it. And Connor ran out of things to say. It was terrible.
It was so bad. The quality. It was in a
hotel. It was in a hotel in I don't know where, Vegas.
Yeah.
Honestly, can I be honest with you? I think DFC packs out more of an event than that did.
Yeah. It was headlined by Hazuki Murata, who some of you may have seen was nominated for Ring Female Fighter of the Year. I can't remember what they're called. I'll try and make sure I'll know by next week, but something like EFB Boxing, who are exclusively streaming their stuff on YouTube and they mentioned that they have it's a wider audience they can appeal to. So, but they're a major broadcaster apparently. So, or not broadcaster, they're a major promoter, but they're going to go exclusive to YouTube, which is interesting. Could be big. They haven't got any fighters of real note. A lot of prospects. I did have a quick look. A lot of prospects, mainly from sort of eastern part of the world, but obviously any real like world champions are normally picked up by the likes of Top Rank generally, or Tasmania fighters have been doing very well recently. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot more sort of. Tyson Fury's back, but we kind of knew that.
Tyson Fury's retired, not retired. I just don't commentate on it anymore.
Yeah, I think. Well, and also it wouldn't surprise me if he goes back into retirement and then comes back out. So we'll hold off. But I
think Tyson Fury will fight till he's 65.
Yeah, but it'll be pub fights.
Well, hear me out. He's a traveler. He's a gypsy. Yeah, gypsy's the correct term we're going to use because that is the
gypsy king. Yeah.
Traveler, gypsy. Those are two terms I think people are allowed to use.
Definitely.
So. But all he knows is fighting. Yeah. Look at John Fury's dying for a fight. Dying.
Yeah. Especially when you look at the Furies as well. Like,
well,
you mix the Furies in with the Traveller blood, and yeah.
Joe Egan's got to be in his late 50s. Yeah, Joe Egan also attract gypsy. Yeah. I met Joe Egan. I interviewed Joe Egan in a ring at a boxing event. Yeah. That man, at the age he's at now, by the way, he's free. One hand is free of mine, by the way. Yeah. He is dying to fight John Fury. But in general, these men, all they know is fighting. Like, you just see it into their older age. Like, I think, like, sadly, without boxing, and it is quite sad, but Tyson Fury goes off the rails probably a bit when he's not boxing.
Yeah, so but he's a young man, like.
He's young. He's the same age. He's the same age as Joshua.
Yeah, he's 36, 37 years old, and he's now what? He's going to stop working till he's 70.
No, of course.
He needs to find something. I think
he's got to find a hobby. Because if he
I personally, I don't actually think it's the time for him to retire from boxing.
No, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, whilst we are talking about it very quickly. He's coming back and fighting an unknown American. He is unknown. He done this before when he fought Schwartz. Was it Schwartz and Wilding?
Tom
and
Schwartz.
No one really. Tom Schwartz and Otto Wilding obviously has been in a couple of big fights since, but no one really knew who he was before he fought Fury. Great move by Wilding, to be honest with you, because it parachuted him to get into some big fights. Obviously,
he fucked those up, but yeah, you are right.
But Tyson Fury was the fight he looked the best in, and done damage to Tyson Fury as well. So,
you could have won it.
But again, it's like if Tyson Fury beats this American and then he's given a world title shot, they're talking about making Usyk and Fury free. I'd rather watch paint dry.
Yeah, I agree. Usyk and Fury fights were brilliant. A lot of the brilliance of it was because it had been 25 years since we had an undisputed fighter, and they do sell. But the actual fights themselves, whilst very good, we don't need a third. Usyk won. Yeah. And also, if there's a third, then it's only right there's a fourth, and I can't be bothered. I'd much rather see other fights. But what I will say is that I don't think Fury should be done yet, and it's not. I don't think it works well for his story of comebacks. If the first time he has a professional loss, or the second time he has a professional loss, but back to back, so first time really, he then retires. I don't think that bodes well. I don't think that sits well on the Tyson Fury.
Retired like 5 times. I don't know what to expect.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, nor do I. But I think there's another 2 years of Tyson Fury. I think that we should expect, but I don't know. He'll beat a lot of people. Hopefully, we get him versus AJ, but obviously that's completely dependent on AJ, and it is dependent on Fury as well because currently he is a retired man that's just getting fit again. So let's wait until we've got official announcements. But and then I don't know. I'm going to watch Tyson Fury fight regardless. But
something I wanted to bring up actually on the subject of AJ, which I thought was quite nice that I heard. Obviously, Eddie Hearn posted something that he was with AJ, but I love how he just said as a mate, not as your boxing promoter, as a mate. And obviously, Joshua was happy for him to share that information, unlike Kamaru Usman, which I would like to mention as well in a minute. But
he did apologise for that. But it wasn't good.
But Anthony Joshua turned around and said, I've got a strong mentality. It's mad. 1 minute I'm laughing with my brothers, didn't even realise. He said a couple of things, but I think the thing that stood out to me is my head's strong. He goes, but his family, it's more for them. Like he's got, they're going through something now that he's. So like, I think mentally, like I say this all the time. For a man that people say mentally is done, like Joshua's a mentality monster in general.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Has he always got it right? No, in terms of maybe the way he might have acted sometimes, but never get it twisted. Like in terms of his determination to succeed, to want to be the best.
He's an absolute role model.
He's a role model. But I do want to mention very quickly that obviously I understand Kamaru Usman's apologized. I do think on that though, like you know that people are filming you, so you're on FaceTime, and your team are behind you filming you on the phone to Joshua. Like it's a very breach moment of privacy, and I believe this was around the time that Joshua was in hospital.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it should not have gone public at all. I'm in no way supporting Kamaru, but it was clearly a mistake, a really stupid mistake.
A stupid mistake that should make you look at the people you've got around you, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because if I've got people like that around me, I'm binning you off straight away. How dare you make me look like that in a situation like that? That's not forgivable, bro. Like it's or depending on the relationships, obviously he's got with the people in the room, but there's serious words. Certain people might be getting put into headlocks. If I'm Usman, I'll be honest with you.
No, if I'm Usman, I think I'll be putting everyone into a headlock. Why not? Because you can.
But
no, I know what you mean. But he's apologized. It was a mistake. I feel slightly sorry for him because, like you say, I think it was almost more his team did it than he did. But it's not good enough. Regardless, that's kind of boxing. Regardless is the wrong word, but that's kind of boxing this week. Muratalla versus Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz getting his first world title shot this weekend against Muratalla. A very good fight. Hopefully wins it, because I'd like to see Andy Cruz versus Keyshawn Davis. That's a fight that's been building since Cruz turned pro. Well, since the amateurs, but especially since he turned pro. So Andy Cruz, who is a weird fighter because he's potentially going to win a world title within 10 fights, and in a way that's almost disappointing. It's not. It's brilliant, but because of what we thought we were getting when he came into the pros, I don't know, it feels weird. But Andy Cruz, if he can pick up his first world title, what a one it is against Muratalla, and then it's just big fights from here on in. Not quite a pound-for-pound star, but I want to see him and Jaron Ennis, they're very good friends, share a card. That's boxing this week. Like I said, I do apologise we don't have a knockout of the week, but there was nothing of good enough quality, both in the knockout and the actual film quality. So I thought, I'm not going to post any of that. We'll have a week off from it. We'll go again next week when we've got better fights. We obviously have Shakur Teo coming up soon, end of the month. Should have had a big heavyweight fight, but Moses got injured, unlucky. And we've got a boxer event at the end of the month as well. So we've got some good fights.
Fighting, which we'll be keeping a close eye on because
Adam
of Dalton Smith.
Oh yeah, Ben Shalom has said he's willing to make that fight, although would prefer Adam Azim to have a world title as well for a unification, which to me screams we're not taking that fight to Adam's a world champion. But whatever, we'll see. You can only wait with that. But yeah, that's boxing this week. As Paolo said earlier, There's 2.7 billion of you, so we should have more than 350. We really appreciate the 350, but come on, we want to get to 500 by the end of February. So March 1st, we want 500.
Just don't be lazy, man. Just subscribe. Like, I see the thousands on the reels. I see the interaction. Just, we're not asking for much. It don't cost you no money to subscribe, especially if you like our content. Ultimately, as well, just watch from a distance on a voyeur thing. It's up to you.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Boxing This Week 76. We're back for 77 next week. We've got no live streams this week because there's no real. Muratalla Cruz is a good fight, but it's not a fight that we can be staying up till 5 a.m. for, 6 a.m. for. The event is just not good enough. But next week, Boxing This Week, we'll be talking about Shakur versus Teofimo Lopez, which is a fucking brilliant start to 2026. So
finally,
it feels like
it's been a slow month. So
yeah, it has been a little bit, especially with like people pulling out of fights. Understandably, it's injuries, but I've had a few disappointments.
But you know what is consistent in your life? So please subscribe.
True, we're here every week. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.